Hello, John here from Benson Alfa Romeo and Fiat in Greer, South Carolina. There's my card and contact information. I'm on Eastern Time. Well, let me step back here. I want to show you a 2020 Giulia TI Lusso. This is new to our lot. It is a absolutely gorgeous car. It's got the yellow calipers that you can't get anymore. It's got the Lusso wheels you can't get anymore. It's finished in Linare white, which is now called Moonlight white, and it's got a beautiful red leather interior. Check that out, paddle shifters, and it's got the red stitching up on the leather upper doors, which you can't get anymore either. So just a gorgeous car. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. This vehicle only has 1,700 miles, so it's 2.5 years old, built in July of 2019. So I want to walk through sort of a discovery with you and show you what I find in these battery compartments. I'm going to open up the trunk here and kind of got some things set up to show you. And this is something that you can do at home, that you can do in your own shop or garage with minimal tools. I want to show you how to inspect your battery condition, because that is many times the root cause of a lot of false flag issues and that sort of thing. So the first thing you need to do on the Giulia is to turn this knob and open up this little cabinet door, and it'll just come right off. There's two little tabs here. I'm going to set that aside. On the Stelvio, it is actually in the center of the luggage compartment. You have to take the panel up and you'll see exactly what you're going to look at now. Now this is the battery in a Giulia, and you can see it's strapped down. It's also got a 10mm hold down bolt that's on the narrow corner of the battery closest to the tail light. It's way down there, so if you have to change your battery, it's not just this strap, it's a little 10mm hold down bolt. Okay, well, I've got a couple things to observe here, and you and I are going to observe this together. Take a look at this bus bar right here. This is your positive power going to the car. See how it loops up and goes into the car. Look at the corrosion here. You see how it's even flaking down onto the battery. I mean, that's just incredible. That's just doing that on its own. So that means that if you open up your battery compartment, and you can take your finger and wipe some of the corrosion off on your finger, or you see it down here on the battery, then it's a telltale sign you need to go ahead and look a little bit further and see what's going on. Okay, now this is the positive side, that's the negative side over there. And so what we want to do is, the first thing we want to do is take this little swivel clamp. You can see how it's kind of swiveling. I'm going to push the little release button here, and I'm going to release it. See that little release button? I just push that and it pops up. Okay, I'm going to turn this over. That's what it looks like on the inside. As you can see, there's a little bit of white buildup in there, which is not really what's supposed to be. It's supposed to be some copper roller pins. But anyway, so let's look a little bit further. Here is our negative ground here, and you see it's got the post, the capture post, and that little chamfer right here is what holds that thing on. So make sure when you ever put this back on, you hear it click when you go ahead and install it again. All right, so there's our negative post. Now, I've got a 10mm socket. I'm going to go ahead and take it, and I'm going to start to loosen this little nut here. This is a 10mm sized socket, quarter drive. I'm going to go counterclockwise to take it off. You usually have to do 4 or 5 turns, get it nice and loose. Okay, then you can just gently wiggle it by hand and pull it up. Now, I don't think this car's ever been inspected or anything. Now, you can see that it's pretty clean. It really is pretty clean in this case, but look a little closer. You can see that gray patina forming right there. And let's look in the back. Get some light here. There we go. You see that gray patina? When that is discolored like that, and when you see a white snow cap, I can get that on my finger. That's corrosion right there. That needs to be cleaned off. It's very, very important. Remember, this is a vent door right here. You can see this is where the air can come through. When you slam your trunk, it's basically vents the pressure. There's another one identical right below. So anyway, this particular post is going to need to be cleaned up. Now, Now that we have disconnected our negative, it's safe to be on this side, on the positive side. So let's go ahead and remove this cover. This is two little tabs right here. You just push that tabs and this thing will just pop right up. Okay, push the tabs, pull it up. All right, so this is called a fuse array right here, and this is your positive side. Now if you look way over, you can see the battery post on that side, so that's what you want to get to, and you want to remove those two Phillips screws that are on that red hold down tab. You don't have to take them all the way out, but you do have to remove them. So I'm going to take my electric screwdriver and I'm going to go ahead and go to reverse here, and I'm going to take these out. Okay, I don't need to go all the way, maybe about 3/4 of the way out, just to release the pressure on that little anchor in there. All right, now that I've done that, that's loose, and now we want to go to our positive bolt that's on this side of the battery. I'm going to reach down in here, try to get this camera so you can see it. All right, and I'm going to loosen that a few turns. Need to be a whole lot. Going counterclockwise. All right, I got 2 or 3 turns on it, should be okay. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to wiggle this just a little bit, very gently, until it comes off. Okay, do a little bit more. Okay. There we go. Okay, now let's flip this over and do a little inspection. All right, move this light out of the way. All right, look very closely. You can see some corrosion on the bottom edge of these 2 contact surfaces. This is the contact surface for the battery. This is the only thing that gives you juice going to the car. Look at the top of the post over here. You can see that it's got corrosion. It's got a ring of corrosion about halfway down, and then it's got one all the way down. That's the corresponding band clamp that is touching it. And you can see it's got a little bit of contamination on it. So we want to go ahead and clean that off. Now, this is probably the #1 cause of false flags and weak continuity. Remember that the electrons that recharge this battery, when you are driving down the road, if you don't have good continuity, it's no different than stepping on your water hose when you're watering the lawn. You don't get as much pressure with your foot on it. If you have a constriction here, if you have a restriction on this energy transfer, you're going to have problems, and it's normally going to be a false flag condition. The component is usually fine. It's just the weak continuity and low voltage that ends up giving you dead batteries, false flags, and then you take it to a dealer or somewhere, they put a code reader on it, and they find out it's got some kind of a code for a component that's probably perfectly okay in many cases. After all, this car is ISO 9001 certified. Now let's go and look at this bus bar a little quickly while we got it out. You see how corroded that is right there? Okay, that is the result of sea air when the car's in transport. Gets a little bit of salt air on here. You've got lead post, aluminum band clamp, CAD plated bolt. Those 3 metals will always cause, on an energized post, it's going to cause some mild corrosion, and it builds up over time. That's why sometimes if you have some rainy weather, all of a sudden you start having problems with your car. That's because the humidity's changed, and it's changed the balance of these 3 products that are on this post. Okay, so now that we've got that, let's go ahead and start to clean this operation up a little bit. And I'm going to set the camera down so you can watch what I'm doing while I'm in the cabinet here. Here we go. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is go over to this side over here on the negative, and I'm going to clean this post off. I've got a little device right here that's just a little wire brush. You can use the cone type brushes if you want. Those work pretty good. If you don't have one of those, you can just use like a little wire brush. They can get at a hardware store. You can use a brass one too, probably won't hurt. Just want to go ahead and get all this corrosion off of here as much as possible. Okay. Just get all that off of there. All right, now let's take a look at our little clamp. If you notice, you've got some brown like patina right here. This is an evidence of some corrosion that's developing up in the capture. This capture right here, see how it goes down on there? It's got some corrosion, and so you want to go ahead and remove that too. You see how that's starting to clean up? Remember that this thing is designed to swivel. If you're in an accident or something like that, it's designed to swivel. But this needs to be super clean, okay? All right, now the inside of this is a little bit dirty too, so we'll go ahead and run our little cleaner in here. Get this cleaned up. We'll do it from both sides to make sure we've got it. Okay. All right, pretty happy with this side. Let's move on to the other side. First thing we're going to do is clean up this positive point right here. Take my little tool, and you can see the dust coming off of there. That's corrosion. You're removing the corrosion. That's what you're doing. Let's go to the other side. Now, this car was not giving us any kind of trouble. This is a preventative. It's better to do this now when you're in your driveway than you're on the side of the road and on some highway somewhere or late at night. When you do this one time, typically you're not going to have any problems for the life of the battery. All right, now let me get back into, I'm going to take my camera back up so you can see what I'm doing. Go back in here. I'm going to clean that post. Get all the stuff off the top of it. Go around it. It's like rust on a car. You want to get rid of it. Get rid of all of it. Alright. I'm going to take my little toothbrush style brush here, and I'm going to get the bottom, make sure I get it really good. They do make the little post ones too. You can get those usually at a auto parts store, or any place sells a battery post cleaner. You can buy a little kit. Okay, now you can put some dielectric gel on here if you like. Some people don't like to do that. I think it's best. One of the products that I'm using these days is called NCP2. It's a battery corrosion preventative. It's a spray-on. As you can see, this company's been around since 1914. Which is about the same time Alfa Romeo came to be. 1911, I believe. We'll spray a little bit right there. We'll spray a little bit right there. Tiny bit right there. Okay, I'll put a little bit on there too. Okay, so now we've got good continuity, good contact surfaces. We've cleaned up the posts. So the thing to do now is to go ahead and put this post back down. Now remember, we've got our little hold down clamp right here, see it popped out, but you can see there are some little holes right there next to the battery. You see right where the ledge is. I'm gonna point to it. See that one? So there's one, and there's another one right there. So that's where that little hold down clamp goes. All right, so we're going to gently put this back over top. Remember, the negative is detached, so we don't have to worry too much. All right, and then we're going to nice and snug locate it down. We're going to take our little connector here. I'm going to put it in, find a capture. Okay, found the one side, got the other side. Just push it down to hold it. Okay, now we want to go ahead and take our screwdriver, and we're going to go ahead and put these screws down. All right, there's one side. There's the other side. Okay, next thing we want to do is we want to make sure we tighten up this 10mm nut that secures the post clamp. This time we're going to go clockwise. Get that thing tight. There we go. You can feel it to start to tighten up. Okay, you don't have to have 100 foot-pounds on it. Just nice and snug. Okay, so now we are done on this side. So we can put our cover back on. Here's the cover, and you see the snap tabs on it. It's super easy. You just lay it over, and you see this little top right here. This is your Pyrotechnic Sensor that will basically blow in case you're in a accident that cuts power off to the vehicle. So this is the main bus of power right here going to the vehicle. You can see the big cord. So if you had an accident, that thing will fire, and that will keep you from having any kind of possibility of spark in the car after an accident. Okay, so we've got this completely down. Let's go over to this side, and we're going to go ahead and put our negative post back on. Go ahead and move that over. Make sure we're not pinching any wires. That's your intelligent battery sensor right there. That basically reports whether or not your battery is charged, or the charge level of your car, I should say. Okay, just put it down there. Push it down good. Make sure it's down as far as it can go. And you'll see the top of that battery post there. Okay, then we want to take our 10mm. I'm going to tighten this back up. See that? All right, nice and snug. All done here. Now, what's left to do is to put, let's take a little bit of that stuff we just sprayed and put it on this little post right here. Okay, that way we've got some protection on that. Now, very important, when you put this down, make sure you got a little bit of slack. Put it down over top, and hear that snap? That's it's on. When it snaps, it's on. Okay, so you're good to go. So right now we've used a Phillips screwdriver, a 10mm socket, and a wire brush, plus the battery protective. So that's all we've had to use to get this battery in great condition. And you can see here's the dust like a patina here. So anyway, we want to go ahead and we can take that off of there. But anyway, that's what we're doing. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and put this cabinet door back in. Now remember, since we've disconnected the battery, we're going to have some codes, and I'll show you how to clear those. Just put that thing back in there, turn this. All right, turn that there. That closes it, and we're all done. Now, the next thing we want to talk about before we do our start procedure is starter relays. Inside the engine compartment, you're going to find a starter relay. This is what it looks like. This is another one, another new one I have. This one here I've sort of taken apart, and I want to show you something. Right here, you can see there's a contactor down there. That is what pulls in whenever you hit the start button on your car. So if you have a situation with a really good clean battery and everything and you still can't get it started, it could be this starter relay. Now let me show you where the starter relay lives. By the way, there's the part number right there. You can buy that from any Alfa dealer, or you can buy the AC Delco version. It's a 30 amp 30 amp relay. It's very, very common, but if you want the Alfa one, there's the part number. I think they changed the last suffix of the part number and raised the price on it, but it's pretty much the same relay as far as I can tell. Let me show you where that relay lives. Let's go back over here. Yep, I hit our release. There's a release handle right there. Okay. There's a little tab right about where the Alfa logo is. There's the tab. Pull that over to open the hood. Remember, you have two hood latches, one on the right and one on the left. You can see it actuating right there. Okay, so where does the starter relay live? Let's look down into that cavity right there. You see it? Try to get the camera down there for you. There it is. Okay, the one on the inside, on the engine side, that is the one for the starter relay. The other one is the AC relay. Now there's a cover on it. Here's what the cover looks like. Okay, so these two relays are sitting side by side in here. Okay, like that. Over top of this cover, you see where it says R1 and R2. So there's the pinch tabs right there. So we want to go ahead and put this cover back on. I just wanted to show you where it is. So it's just got a little tab right there. That's all you got to do. So let's go ahead and put this down. We're going to go ahead and put the cap back on. Now be very gentle when you're working in here. Now one thing I want to tell you is if you get in a pinch where you don't have a relay with you, you can simply switch these two. They are in the same orientation. Okay, it's a little weatherproof cover, so I popped that cover on there and you can kind of see it down there. Okay, it's right below the headlight bucket. All right, here's our two relays. That's what it looks like. That's the pins on it. You can see, once again, there's the contactor that pulls in. If the battery is weak, it won't pull in that little contactor and you'll be standing on the side of the road. All right, let's close this up. Just sweep it down to close it. And then we're going to reset the car's ECU. All right, we'll go ahead and close this. I've got my key with me. When you disconnect the battery, you're going to get some check engine lights, so don't worry about it. It's normal. All right, got my key here, foot on the brake, hit the start button. All right, you see all these codes? Forward collision, ESC, dampers, steering, AST, ESC lights on. All right, let's go ahead and put this car in reverse because I'm going to back out of this little area. You can put it in drive if you like immediately. Let's say you're just backing out of your driveway, so this is a good way to sort of replicate that. I still got the lights on. Okay, let's start out. I'm going to ride past the dealership. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to come down here to this corner. We're going to go to this larger part of the lot here. As you see, all my lights are still on. I'm going to do a full right lock turn all the way to stop. All the way, can't go no more. Okay, then I'm gonna go and I'm gonna bank left and go all the way to the stop. All the way, all the way, all the way. Hold it, hold it, hold it. All right, now, straighten the car back out. See, our lights are still on. Not all of them are on, some of them have gone out. That's why, because the steering angle sensor reset with the turning hard left and hard right. And now, the thing we need to do is go ahead and put the car in park, and then I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to wait about 5 seconds, and I'm going to turn the car back on. All the lights have gone off. You noticed? Everything's off. Let's put it back in drive. Let's go another few feet, maybe 50 yards. And we'll do it one more time just to be sure. Remember, if you have 3 cycles of off on of normal operation. Most check engine lights will go out by themselves. Okay, so just for good measure, I'm going to pull up here, put the car in park, turn it off, foot on the brake. All the lights are out. See, they all went out. Everything's great. Everything's right. Good continuity. It's like taking your foot off of that water hose out in the backyard. You're now getting full energy to that battery. It's charging up as you're driving, and it's doing what it's supposed to do. Remember, the battery is also an ISO 9001 product, so you're just not going to have the problem if you take care of the continuity. You're not going to replace your water hose because you're standing on it. Same thing. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and turn the car off one more time, and I want to show you a little cool trick. All right, if you want to check your oil, like first thing in the morning, all you do is keep your foot off the brake, hit the start button, and you're going to notice it's going to come up for you for about 3 seconds. There's your oil level right there, minimum and maximum. It's about 1.5 quart spread between the two. Let me do that again. I think the sun was in the way. All right. There it is. See that? Okay, from the left side of the goalpost to the right side is about 1.5 quarts. If you have to add oil, if you see it down a little bit, just add a tiny bit of oil at a time. Do not add a ton of oil, you know, a quart or two or anything like that. You know, because we don't have a dipstick in this car as far as us to be able to check the motor, you know, that's the thing. You're just going to have to incrementally add oil if you want to add oil. And use the proper oil, of course, and remember that when you do a oil change by yourself, let's say, it does recommend 5.8 quarts of oil, but just remember, you may not have drained all the oil out. So, you know, start with about 5.5 quarts and then work your way up. So don't overfill. A lot of times you'll get the, you know, high level exceeded, and that's a good way to do it, is to, you know, only take out 85% of the oil and then throw 5.5 quarts in it, or I'm sorry, 5.8 quarts in it, and you're going to end up with overfill conditions. So anyway, just a little bit of word of advice for anyone who wants to do this at home. All right, well, that's the end of my video right now, and there's my contact information. I hope this helps you out. Feel free to leave me a comment. I love the positive comments, and I've been getting them from all over the country. People have been able to kind of self-enable their car's reliability, and I'm so glad that we're able to do that together. If I can ever help you, certainly send me an email. I'm on Eastern Time, and I hope you have a wonderful Alfa ownership experience. That's the way it should be. These are beautiful, wonderful cars. They outclass everything else out there on the road. So by all means, every day when you get up and go to work or go to school or wherever you go, it needs to start and be reliable. So I hope you have all the best, and like I said, if you have a question or comment, please post it on my YouTube channel, and please subscribe. There's plenty of stuff on Alfa and other brands of cars on there. Thanks much. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Ciao.